Okay, it looks like we're started. So everyone has the power to mute themselves. I just want to say that. And so if you have any background noise, you can just mute, and I'll be doing the same thing when I'm not speaking. So today it's March 6th, 2017, and this begins our 9-month journey together. Really, from the moment that you said yes to this, things have been shifting in your life. There is, and I know that this is a group that knows that. Anytime you say yes to something in your life, it can be yes to a program that you're taking, a class you're taking, a movement of any kind. The universe hears you. I'll just use that big, broad category of the universe. God, your intuition begins to bring pieces to you that rearranges it, clears you out so that you can be in this process. And we're going to continue with that. But I wanted to say that because it might be, useful to go back and just look at, when did I say yes, that I committed to doing this, and just notice the personal growth work you've already been doing, the clues that have been appearing, and all. Tonight, I'm going to talk more than I normally do. I'm going to lay out a pattern for you where you can see, just to feel energetically where we're going. So I'm going to lay a little bit of a foundation. I'm going to talk about some logistics at some point. And I'm going to, after I go through and do a couple of things, I'm also going to ask Sophia to introduce herself a little bit, because she's going to be here as a creative collaborator, and she'll explain that. Sophia and I met at OPN, and you were a writer in the Feminine Voices project a few years ago, and we've really maintained this connection. So there's something here to talk about and describe.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to just lay a foundation here of a couple of things. One thing is, when you hear the words innovation, you may think initially of technology or medicine or inventors. And this word innovation, it's funny, Sophia and I were talking earlier today about words. And as writers, we kind of words become like a ball of clay in a sense. Yes. Okay. So, and there's something really potent about this group of women who have started this project. There will be more joining within the next few weeks. I'm having conversations with people, but those of us who are here, we really are all writers. We've all written something already. We've been in a book, we've published a book, we're writing a book, and then there's all the other stuff around blog posts and other ways that we express ourselves. But this idea of innovation popped in for me at the end of 2014 and beginning of 2015. I just felt like that was the next project. And it was the innovation that is connected to the consciousness of the way that we can design our lives, the way that we can live our lives, the way that we can question. When someone says, well, people your age don't do that, whatever age that is, and then you go, what? And it's like innovation becomes the actually checking in to that energy and going, but that's what I want to be doing now. That's what I'm feeling called to do. So we innovate when we bring something new into our lives, or we paint a picture that is new according to the way people would define us, according to our culture, our race, our gender, our age, and on and on. And so I really felt like innovation was something for us to explore as women. Where have we already been innovators throughout our lives, where someone said, oh, you get rid of that dream, you can't do that. But we still stepped into it, and we became I don't know, I just had an image of a red carpet. Like we became like the red carpet that we rolled out, that we walked along that path anyway. And there's also a place of innovation that is a renewal of something. There may have been a dream that you had or something that you started, and you can see that now this cycle is coming around, and it could have been like the 8-year-old who said, I am going to be an author. I'm going to write a book, and then it didn't happen at 8, but there was this path that had been laid, this red carpet that had been rolled out, that you started walking along. And all of a sudden that cycle has come around, and it's time for that to come into more manifestation, more, it's time for it to come into existence. And so as I see innovation right now, and I'm just laying this path, because you will each add your voice to this, and it may take us on a totally different path. I just want to say that. I am open to like, okay, here's the opening through the woods, and then somebody brings something in, a resource, an idea, your voice, and we go, oh, actually, let's like go over to this side and try this out. But I see it as choices that we are making that disrupt patterns, expectations, that bring in creativity, that bring in imagination, that bring in desire, our desires. Right before, or this afternoon, one of the things that I did to really tune into the energy was excuse me, I'm going to see if I can close something so those dings don't keep happening and still keep the Zoom open. Okay. So I watched 2 TED Talks this afternoon about innovation. And one of the words that really popped in for me was to free your mind. Free your mind. And that's an energy around this idea of innovation and awakening. But it's also how we begin this process of freeing your mind. And I'm going to come back to this in just a minute, because I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about listening, how we just start not with figuring out, okay, wait, I need my story. I need to know what I'm going to write right now. But no, it's like free your mind from that and jot down some ideas if they come to you, or a memory of something. But really be open to your, like some of the words I heard today were, you're not a fortune teller, you are a detective. So if you can feel the difference between that energy and your intuition gives you clues. So it's like, put on, I don't know, what was that expression? Like put on your thinking cap. Actually, we're going to put on the intuition cap and let your intuition speak to you through, it can be anything. It could be people crossing your path and having a conversation with you. It could be that you're actually walking down the street and you hear somebody else's conversation and it sparks something in you. Signs, clues, just be open to that. And there may be a story that your soul wants you to write right now, that it never even occurred to you to write that story. Oh, yeah, that felt juicy. That felt really potent when I said that. I got really excited, like, oh, what could that be? What could that story be? I was reading an article yesterday by Mark Nepo. Nepo. And it's funny because one of the things that starts to happen for me as I know things about each of you, or I stalk you on Facebook, and then something that you're into, like I know Ginny Robertson is really into this author. And I've read a little bit of his work, but I haven't like devoured it the way she has devoured it. And I thought, well, it's so fascinating. Here I had this article right in front of me. So it's almost like the universe starts bringing me things that an author or something that you're interested in, or a way that you as part of this group are going to help us free our minds. And then I'll share something about that. So The quote from him was, "The heart's job is to mirror each other with such love that our souls come out." And I will tell you, it is my intention that we become mirrors for each other that really help us, help our souls come out, help our story come out. And it can be in a way that you may have no idea how the thing that you're sharing that seems like, I have no idea why I'm even saying this, but I'm going to say it, what that sparks in someone else, what that could start as a little glimmer, and so trust that part of the process here. This is an alchemical container, and our voices will spark things in each other and help to connect to a story from our soul. So some of the things I would just really recommend during this process is be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing to, this is a safe container, and that's the intention I'm setting, and that's what I'm asking for each person, is to have this be a safe place where, you can come in like, I'm like so excited. I've got more joy in my life. I've got woo! And that you can just come in also and be like, this was the worst day of my life. I don't even deserve to be on the planet. And it's like, these are all moments. These are all moments. This does not define your entire life. And you will see, I will be vulnerable. I got whacked with a conversation with my dad right before I went to Florida last week. And I'm fine with sharing those moments where everything's going along. I feel really solid, and where I end up in bed feeling anxious and like my life is falling apart. So let's all keep in mind, we don't have to fix each other. No one is broken. These moments of, if I say I went to bed and I was so upset, it doesn't mean that I don't see the next part of the path. It's that was just a moment. So we don't have to fix each other or come up with something, advice, or let's just hold the space for each other. That's what I would really encourage. And that creates an environment where we can make mistakes. We can take risks. We can say one day, wow, I really want a relationship, and then the next day could be like, no, actually, I don't really want that right now. It's like, so it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to let's just play here with this. Let's play with all the emotions, our range, and give each other permission to go on this exploration. Okay. So, I'm going to, in just a moment, move to something logistical, but I feel like it's the thing that I want to share, since I'm in this place of vulnerability and make mistakes and take risks. I'm going to just finish this other piece. So, I do believe Heal My Voice, this 9-month program, has been a living entity. And I am a devoted servant. I have followed the path of this. And this is number 11. And a couple of days, it just popped in that this is the final 9-month program, that I will not be doing a program in this design of the 9 months and everything. I'm not going to do it again. This is the final program. And all of a sudden, when that came in, I just felt like, oh, now I'm starting to see clues that Heal My Voice that there's something else for me to be doing with Heal My Voice. But this is like the completion program. And now I know why it felt like it has to start now, so that there's a celebration an in-person book celebration in Maryland in October, because everything lines up to have that happen. And that's like the bookend from where we started. So the first Heal My Voice program, we had an in-person event, and it was Fearless Voices, and there were about, I don't know, between 100 and 150 people who came. And we're going to have one at the end of this, and that'll be the bookend of completion. And all of these women's stories, all of this richness that has been created since 2011 will be celebrated there. I just felt excitement around that. I just can feel, this is so fun. It's like I wrote the words, but then saying it to you all, I can feel the palpableness of this. So what's being called forth from me is to be innovative. And so I'm going to just play with you all this 9 months. And I've got some ideas to add in some extra things. And it might be that all of a sudden I say, hey, I'm going to throw in a call on Friday night or Sunday night, and I'm going to talk about what innovation is looking like in my life, where it breaks down. And, we're going to throw some extra things in here to see what is that? What does this look like? So I'm just going to share one thing that came up for me. Was about 3 months ago, I was rearranging some of my things at Karen Porter's house, and I heard the words travel lighter. And so I was like, what does that mean? Okay. So I just wrote down travel lighter, and I can see some of the things that are shifting and what that is referring to a little bit. Like I got a little clue, but I don't have the big picture of what that means yet. I can just feel it, the truth of it. And then what I heard on I guess it was Friday or Saturday night, where it got clear to just, this was the last program to really dive in and give it my all, and then let it go. So it's like an ending and it is a beginning. And so there will be things that'll be revealed, but I heard the words go deeper. And then I realized that there's this rich library of stories, and it'll be time, that'll be on the other end of it. And it might be, I feel like what I'm feeling and seeing is the next 10 years after this, so it's actually including this. I'm seeing the next 10 years. And so there's this rich presence of really being here and cultivating everything that's possible in innovation and being in this community with you, and then being willing to make mistakes and take some risks and be vulnerable, and just know that I know where we're going and I have no idea where we're going. So if you can see that both things are true, like I have this is what the focus is every month, and these are the things that will come into completion. But there's a lot of unknown and mystery. And so to just be with what that is for that. Okay. That felt like that. I could just feel energetically like, oh, that's enough. Like I looked at it from all these different places. Okay. So taking a breath, I want to do a little logistics, and then I'm going to ask Sophia to share her voice. So let me get back up here. I just realized I needed to have that file open so that I could read something. All right, so here's what I want to give you a little tour of our Facebook group and just speak to what that is. In the files at the top of the page, when you're in the Facebook group, there's a bar that says files. I'm going to be posting things in there. And I invite you to also share files that are meaningful to you. So one of the files that I made today was resources to explore. And I just put in the links to the two TED Talks that I listened to today. Because part of what we're doing is immersing ourselves in an energy. And so anything that you're drawn to where you go, oh, that's an innovator, let me read a few paragraphs from them, or let me listen to that talk, or there's this show, or or even the way people are approaching life. You could say, and one of the things I'm just going to be upfront with, I don't know how we could possibly be in a community of women right now without politics entering into it, right? Because there's so much happening in our world. And I do want to shine a light on Tamara, because last year, Tamara, because we were in a program together when Black Lives Matter really started to surface. And wow, I could just feel like the tears or whatever. And you really popped the complacency bubble of liberalism that I had been living in. Like, hey, I'm in a community where I'm like, yeah, I just hang out with my friends who are gay, who are of color, who are of different cultures. I live with, at that time it was like I'm living with a woman who was born in Mexico and came to the United States. It's like, yeah, I like live in this, like, isn't this the way the world is? And your willingness to share experiences of what it is to be a woman, a powerful, intelligent woman of color in this country. When you shared a few things, it was a wake up. I'm just going to be right out there. It was like, wake the fuck up to me. It was just like your honesty and your vulnerability just pulsed, like it just pierced that bubble. And ever since then, I feel like I'm just hungry for information and a new perspective and opening and bigger dialogues, more conversation, and leaning into places where there's discomfort that I had become blind to. And so that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Like, you just wake up to something, that, yeah. So I'm going to leave it with that, because I know there will be ways that we expand each other. And so you may see something and go, hey, saw this video, and just post it in the group. Bring in those resources, bring in your experiences, share things that inspire you, or places where you feel like, oh, I like have an aversion to this, but I just have to, I don't know what it is. I have to watch this thing, So anyway, so I encourage you to do that. So I just started, you can either post things in that resources to explore, you can start a new file, create a new document, invite people to post things. Just let this be your playground of expression. I am going to record 12 Sacred Sanctuary writing spaces, these meditation spaces. I'm going to record them at the beginning of the month in March, April, May, and June. And so I post the links that are in there, and it lists the day that the link has become live. I'm going to be posting, whenever I send an email, I will also upload it to the group. So if you feel like you've missed a weekly email, it's right here. The community calls on Zoom will be uploaded to an unlisted YouTube file. So it'll be in the Heal My Voice YouTube channel, but those links will only be available to us, because I'll share it with you in this community calls on Zoom. I'll put the link. And they'll be live. Every call will be live for a couple of months. We'll see how that feels in here, but they won't be live forever. So it'll just so that you know that. It'll be available to you. I do have the Innovative Voices schedule and timeline that I'm working off of. The first page is like an overview of the words, and it has some deadlines listed in there. Deadlines, there will be some flexibility with those. And then I've also listed the 30 days of writing prompts and things that I was doing in here in January. All right. So that feels like everything that I wanted to share about that for right now. And Sophia, I'm going to turn it over to you to share what you wanted to share about how
Hey
you.
everybody. Excuse the dog if you hear a little dog barking in the background. He's my buddy when I go on walks. I'm so grateful to be in this space. It feels so good. I've been really enjoying everything and just sharing. It's like lighting up some joy and, a little bit of mourning for the past and excitement for the future. And um, I am currently a student at Loyola, so I'm studying spiritual direction in the Masters of Arts program there. And for the last 5 years or so, I've worked with a lot of writers and entrepreneurs and creators. And my focus is helping people make faster progress, but it's really about connecting them to their intuition. And like Andrea, I feel like everything that we're creating, that we're really here to create, has its own living consciousness. And so every single person as a part of this is going to have their own journey of finding that living story that they want to engage with. Everything, the entire journey is going to be a transformative living thing, but we're looking for this little gem to put into the story. I was in Heal My Voice like 3 years ago or more, I'm not sure, and you kind of hunt for it, and so I'm here to hold space and help maintain that curiosity and that trust and that openness to help everybody to go on their treasure hunt and glean some really nice prizes from that for themselves and in the process of writing. So we're going to be putting some supplementary events together to support everybody, and I'm just really excited because I really do love the mission of Heal My Voice and how it is so healing and so powerful to speak words to what we're feeling. So every part of this, from the 8 p.m. check-ins each week to the process of putting down words, and then later on picking your story and sharing that with someone. It's just all so amazing. So I'm very grateful to be here. Yeah. I think you're muted.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just love that. I love the reflection of that, where we want women to speak. No, I can't hear you. Speak up. It's a good reflection. So 2 other things I want to highlight about Sophia is that her bachelor's degree was in political science.
Yeah.
And so I just find that fascinating in terms of the timing of this. And then, and the reason that I just want to be upfront about things is because there are going to be things that are just happening in our country and in the world, and it will be something where if we don't speak about it, you'll just feel it in the room. So there's going to be certain times where it's like something was signed or some bill was proposed or whatever, and we just need to or whatever, roar or yay, or whatever that is. So I wanted to just say that. And Sophia and I had been looking for something to do collaboratively, and then she's in a class where they were like, connect with a nonprofit and do a project, and it just all really lined up. And I just feel like your experience and what you're going to bring is perfect, and just the whole timing of it is really good.
It's so exciting. And I want to say, I feel like politics is a fancy word for wanting to change the world, and the hows or the how nots to do that. It kind of has like this sort of cynical layer on it, but I think deep down, when we're trying to get in touch with our voice and our power, that's why politics is so wrapped up in it, because it's like, okay, great, I want to do something with this, and then, oh, here's all these hows and mechanisms.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I want to do tonight, but I want to do this after everyone else checks in. And I know that, I know that, for instance, Jeannie was coming late. I don't know if that's Jeannie who's here. Is that you, Jeannie?
It's me.
Okay. All right. Great. So I knew that Jeannie was coming late, and I know that Tamara is the ride for her daughter and will be leaving early. So I want you to know that this whole thing will be uploaded to the YouTube link, and I'll share the link once I do that, so that you go do the whole thing. But I'm going to I'd like to have people check in, and then I'm going to do a meditation that kind of takes you on a journey of this year or of this 9 months. And it'll be an energetic with words. So, yeah, to kind of take us through that. So before we do that, and I see Karen too. Karen's here. So I'm just going to open the floor for whoever would like to share. Just share anything that you want to as a beginning here.
I'll jump in. I came into the room because I thought I could be just part of the call and not have to phone in, but you had your headphones on, so I couldn't hear Sophia. And I had to find the phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. Good. Well, it's recorded, so we'll get you hooked up. But anyway, share.
Yeah, when you were talking about kind of finding your way, two things came up for me. I've been binge watching Lark Rise to Candleford, and it's set in Canada, late 1800s, agricultural community. And there was one episode about bringing in the harvest, and you just see like this field of wheat, and then it's just like a line of people with their scythes. And that's why we're going out into this field, and just like we each have our scythe, and we need to make our own path. And that kind of connects to my lymph drainage therapist, Hyla. One of my legs, the lymph system is very confused, and it's had to make its own path and create roots where there weren't any. And so she talked a little bit yesterday at the session about just picture like an overgrown field, and that you're clearing a pathway. And if you imagine you were out harvesting the wheat, but then you get to a point where there are a lot of brambles and that you can't cut through it, you're going to have to change direction. And so you might have to course correct or change direction or decide on a completely new path, but you don't know until you get there. So just being open to, okay, I'll take a step without expecting like what I'll know the next, I'll know 2 steps down from that where I'm going to be going. I'm just taking the next step and just taking the next step. And, so intuition comes into it, and a lot of, don't know if it's not quite, there's an allowing, but there's also a really deep trust that, and letting go of, so there is a release, but letting go of outcome and expectation of outcome. So that's what came to mind. That's what I wanted to share tonight. So I'm complete.
Thanks, Karen.
All right, so I'll go next. Oh.
Go.
Okay. So I'll go next. so much is coming up for me, especially while Andrea was talking. I wrote down um, your question that you asked, when did you say yes to this program? And what has happened, and notice the changes that have happened. And when I think back to, I believe it was in September or October that I signed up. And
Yes.
yeah,
You
September, October.
you anchored it in. You were like, yes,
Oh,
this is happening. I'm going, okay, it's happening.
it's happening. Yes, we're doing this. And I thought about so many things that have happened, that have started, that have ended, that have different ideas that I've had since then. And I have no idea what my story will be. I have no idea what will come from this, or what will be the result of this program. But I know I'm looking forward to it. And I do want to write the story of my soul. That was a really good explanation, or really good example that you gave. I was taking notes while you were talking, so but I do want to write the story of my soul. And I realized that for most of my life, I've been different, or I've done something that wasn't the norm of what was expected, or what I should have done. And you said that as women, there are expectations of us as women. And it just so happened that I was also thinking that throughout my life, there's been expectations of me as a Black woman and as a Black person. And then you happen to bring up the post that I wrote. So I'll look for that post and share it in the group. I believe that was last summer that I posted that. But there have been times in my life where I've been told that what I'm doing is not what a Black person would normally do, or what I'm doing is not what a woman should do. And so I've had this almost like a juggling act of what is normal for everyone else and what's normal for me, or what feels right for me, or doing what's appropriate, or what's accepted by the group. That's been like the juggling act of my life, is trying to figure out either, do what I want to do and be ridiculed, or fit in with the group and be miserable, or try to find a happy medium. So I believe with this project, I want to do what feels good for me. I feel like that's what I've been doing over the past couple of years, when I realized I didn't really care what anyone else thought. I really didn't. I don't want to fit into a box, because I don't think I was made to fit into a box. I don't think I ever did anyway. So I don't think I ever did anyway. And I think so many people in my life have tried to, you're a Black woman, you're supposed to do this. You can't do that. So, and I think that's how I raised my daughter too, is to think outside the box. I don't even talk to my daughter about color. It comes up when social events, when events in the world are happening. That's when it comes up. So, but I teach her to just do what feels good. Don't worry about being a woman, being a Black woman, or a Black child, or I tell her, just do what feels good. And by teaching her that, I'm able to step into that as well. So I look forward to the next 9 months. I'm looking forward to it. That's it.
We're going to birth our innovative selves.
That's right.
Next layer. Great. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And I got to go, so I'm going to call in.
Okay.
I'll log off of Zoom. Okay.
Great. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Jeannie.
Okay, hang on. Okay, I just had to take myself off speaker. Okay, so if I understood the question is, what am I hoping to achieve, or what am I feeling? I'm so like, I was listening to everybody. Like, some people were feeling, some people were kind of in achievement, and I'm like, oh, okay. I have an image I'd like to share. That's where I've been feeling. And so this just came up the last couple of days. And has anyone ever seen Kill Bill 2 with Uma Thurman? and there's this, okay, it's okay, nobody has to
Yes.
admit that they have, but if you've ever seen the movie, there is what's known as a Texas funeral. And in the Texas funeral, the heroine, Uma Thurman, is captured by Bud. He shoots her full of rock salt, and then he buries her alive in a Texas graveyard, and she digs her way out. And how she digs her way out is that she goes to this crazy kung fu training with this Cantonese master that hates, I guess, everybody. But he, you know, if you don't do what he tells you, he's going to take your eye. So it's like his way, literally, or you lose your eyes. So he says, you know, in the movie, like, you must make the wood scared of you. That you have to keep punching this wood, and so he has her continually training until her hands are practically broken within 3 inches of the wood. And so she never breaks the wood, but he does, of course, within like no time, because he's a master. He knows how to smash through like I don't know, a foot of wood. Sounds kind of crazy, but that's what he does. So I've been having this image of like I'm in some type of dojo or some type of place, and the master asks me to hit the wood and tells me I need to make the wood scared. And in the image, I'm sort of like, well, I don't think I can blast through it, you know? Like, that's just, I don't think I got the training. I'd probably smash my hand. So what I do in the image is I pray and I ask, you know, for the right thing to happen. And then I just simply trust and hit the wood, and the wood completely shatters. And so that's, I think, where I'm at, is that I'm not looking for a way to push through. I'm looking for a way to transmute.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it feels good in here. Feels good in here. As in juicy and a wide range of emotions. I love that. Anything else, Jeannie? Did you want to say anything else?
No, that's all I had to say.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off. All right. So let's, so one personal thing I wanted to share was I just spent a week in Florida. I went to my niece's wedding. It was my sister's, hold on, there was a little bit of feedback, so I was muting people. Okay. It was one of my sister's daughters got married, and it was like this huge wedding, and like 8 bridesmaids on each side, and there was all this preparation and black tie and everything else, and I was in charge of my parents. That was my role, was to get them to the church on time, basically. But I had some time. My dad had 2 strokes last year, and I really got clear during this last year of how my parents are in a relationship with each other, and this is part of their journey together. My father's illness and how my mother and father are coming together as a couple to go on this adventure. And what it first started out was, there was a little bit of an expectation that I was supposed to rearrange my life and go there and help with the care of my father. But when I was there about a year ago, I thought, no, they're figuring this out in terms of insulin that he needs and eye drops, and he's walking and he's talking. He's slow. He's using a walker or a cane, but they're managing. And I thought, how many times in our society do we just think that adult children have to go in and rescue a parent when the parent actually gets to be on their own journey? So I was really watching that. And I was also aware of expectations. So my father said, so it's been a whole year since you've been, no, it's been so long since you've been here. And I said, I know, it's been a year. And I thought about, what did I do last year? And then I realized there were reasons I wasn't there. There were other places I was pouring my energy, and that was, I wasn't avoiding them. It was just not meant to be there. So my dad said, well, you should be coming a couple times a year. And I said, okay, well, it's on my radar. I'm in touch with you. We'll see what happens. And in all honesty, also, I don't know, they could live another 10 to 15 years and really need care within a few years. And it could be, so it's like a long game, or they could die today. And I feel up to date and clear on my relationship with them. But the other piece I want to share was, I then said to my father, so I have one sister and one brother. My sister lives an hour and a half from my parents, and has been there, but also has been living her own life. So I said, when was my brother here? I said, well, my brother Rob. I said, when was Rob here the last time? My dad's like, oh, I don't know. It's been years. It's fine. But I realized this is part of where the expectation is, right? It's that I am oldest daughter. I am supposed to be there caring for my parents. But my brother, oh no, well, he's got his own life. He's busy. He's, and he has just as much flexibility to come down as I do. So, and actually probably a little bit more. But it was just a little bit of like where we put women and men in different boxes. And so that was one of the things that I noticed this week that I wanted to share personally. And again, it's a noticing, and I get to be with the feelings and make the choices and step by step walk that path. Okay, so here's how I want to finish. I want to bring this call into completion by actually taking on a little journey. So if you're in a place where, actually we've got two people driving, so you can listen to this later. It'll be on the YouTube, and you can just click to the end to listen to this. So I'm going to take you on a little journey of this next 9 months energetically. And before I do that totally, I know that for some of you, you're very goal oriented and you want to know the deadlines and everything. So I want to say that for the first 2 months, this month really is about listening. And it may be that you have a little notebook where you just, if you have a story idea that comes, just capture it there. Write ideas for a story, have a place where you can, one idea that came up for me this week was how when I homeschooled my kids, I created curriculum for one of my daughters out of the Girl Scout handbook. So I used the badges and the patches as her curriculum and covered math and science and language and everything else. So I just jotted that down. So I would say right now, you're not committing to a story. You're just letting things bubble up. So have a place to capture that. And then in April, we'll have a deadline where I'll ask you to send me 100 words. That doesn't mean you're committing to a story. It means that you're putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and sending me something. It could be a bunch of random notes, and we'll use that. I really don't want 1,500 words at that point. I really don't want like big story development or a long story. I really want something that's more concise, and you don't have to, I'll say 100 words, maybe it'll be 200, we'll talk about that. But we'll use that in a coaching session that we'll do in April to just start exploring. Like, it's like those 100 words are our clay of something. And you may even start by saying, that's really not the story. You're just going to send something, and we will start playing with that piece of it. I'll tell you when it's time to do that. I'll be in touch with you about that. All right, this is going to go over a little bit because I just got wordy there. But that's all that to know right now is that in March, do some activities where it's like meditation, clear, release, walk in nature, give it a little bit of attention, even if you don't have an inspiration come to you, and then just write some notes. And then in April, we'll do a coaching session with 100 words, and that'll be Discover. Okay, so whenever you listen to this, you're just going to take some deep breaths. And I'm going to take you on a journey of innovative voices. This is a journey of women in a community who are awakening a new world. Whenever women commit to that intuitive place and begin to live from that place, we give others permission to tune in and live an innovative life, to awaken to a new way of doing something. There was a study that was done that showed that in the study it came out that there were 200 different ways to wash dishes. Or I would say in the study that there were 200 different ways people wash dishes. So if you can think about that in this first month, and the word is listen. Listen for the story. There may be a way that you have washed dishes that may change this month. And this first month, you're in a place of listening and being with the energy. Notice things that cross your path where you say, wow, that was a really innovative idea. Be curious. Surrender. And just feel that's the month of March, that we are in this place of listening. And as we turn the calendar page and enter month 2, as we enter April, we'll turn up the heat, turn up the volume a little bit as we enter into Discover. This is where even more of the detective comes in with your story. You may reflect this month on different ideas and feelings that happened for you in March. And you may notice that something gets sparkly. I can already feel that April in this group is going to feel very sparking, almost like fireworks. That's a new energy that I haven't seen in the other groups, but this fireworks is present for April in the discovery. There may be moments of, aha, this is the story. And if you allow yourself this range of feelings, there will be feelings connected with your story that you're going to feel and release. And that will lead you into the next month, which is explore. This is where you're going to get more into really going on this journey with your story. And it may be that you start devoting a little more time on a daily basis to your story during this month. And this is the month of May. You may find yourself on a park bench on a spring day writing some of your story, or in a coffee shop. Or it may be that you wake up early in the morning and you're sitting in bed with some sort of a device or a pad of paper. And you'll commit more to it because you feel called to this exploration. And there's something about this story that will have an aliveness then. you may notice things like resistance, or you may judge yourself a little bit, like, this couldn't be the story that I thought I would write. And those are the feelings that we're going to really hold that space for that deeper exploration. There may be a feeling of like taking a flashlight and walking down the basement stairs and going into the dark basement. But I want you to feel how you're not alone in that process. You may find yourself going down into the basement, followed by a whole group of us with flashlights. And we're there to witness you with your story and to hold that space so that your soul can talk to you. Your soul will bring comfort. It'll bring new awareness. And it may even be something as you're writing your story and we move into June where it's more of expanding your story and bringing it into completion. It may be that your soul will start to speak to you in a way that says, this is what you've been waiting for, is to be able to express this, to be able to complete this part of your story, this journey you've been on with the story, and to really find the gold and the riches that are in it. You know, in this expansion, you'll begin to feel, you will begin to feel that your voice can be heard. And it may be that just like that, it's 6 o'clock came in, that you just feel this like wake up around that story. And you can see the path of who you are now because you walked the path of that story. And as we hold that space for your story to come into completion, sometime in July, we're going to schedule a series of phone calls where you come on to the line. We'll do it through Instant Teleseminar, and you will read your story out loud to the group. This is a private, sacred ceremony that is only for our group to hold each other. And the one thing that we've discovered in the Heal My Voice process is that the writing of your story is a really big piece. And when you can read your story out loud to a group of women and be witnessed, and to read it with the feelings that are in that story, there is a freedom. You will free something inside of you. And none of this we have to figure out. All of this is going to be step-by-step puzzle pieces coming in. You know, we're talking about months of awareness and things happening. We'll have some time in August to integrate the story. And the word that we use there is connect. Connect with your voice. I'll do some radio coaching with you that month, and we'll talk about, like, what is it that you want to talk about on the radio? And we'll plan a 30-minute radio show that, and when I say plan, I'm talking about we'll just decide we're going to talk about something and we'll let this conversation flow. And that will be scheduled for September. But in August, we'll play with, you know, is there something in your story you want to talk about? Is there a new awareness? There's like infinite possibilities of what we can talk about on the radio. But every woman will have that conversation. And so we'll connect more with your voice and have some time to integrate this story. And then as we move into the month 7, the word is reflect. And as part of the Blog Talk Radio show, we'll also in our group be exploring the next steps in your personal leadership. And when I talk about leadership, that leadership, I want you to just feel the power of leadership, of what it's like in your life when you can speak with this clear voice. And there will be some part of power, your personal power, that will be reclaimed in the writing, in the reading your story out loud, in the radio show, where you'll be standing in your leadership in the home, leadership in relationship, in work, business, community, and the world. And all of this will build on each other. And in October, we're going to be in month 8, awakening to how to use, what are the next steps with your voice. Maybe there's an innovation of your business or an innovation that's come out of a new way to live your life. And I'm going to leave that with that. And then in month 9, we're actually at the very end of October going to have a book celebration, and then we'll carry that energy into a completion in November of really anchoring in that celebration of this journey together. All right, that feels complete. So that's a little snippet of what we'll do together, and an energetic. And there will be many things that appear that we don't even know at this point. I'd like to open the line and have us come back and share a word. And I'm not sure if I muted people. I'm actually going to unmute everyone, because I think I muted some people who were, when there was background noise. So everyone is, all right, Sophia, you're unmuted too. So let's just tune in for a moment. Well, first I want to say that because this is the first call, if anyone has anything else they want to say before we close, I'll just open to that first, if there's something short that you want to share. Okay, feels like we're ready to close. So, just, the way that we've always closed the Heal My Voice projects is with tuning into a word and then speaking that word into the group so that everyone's voice is heard at the end. So I'm going to be quiet now and just tune into a word and then speak the word into the circle.
Relaxed.
Live.
Faster.
Breathe. Breathe.
Collaborative. All right, I think that's everyone. Here we go.
Yay!
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 All right. See you all next week. Thank you for the richness of your voices. So, see you on Facebook. Bye now.
Good night.
Bye.